Good morning, students. So welcome to today's video lecture. In the past lectures, we have already studied about the first and the second unit, that is the plastic analysis of the steel structures. We have discussed the theories, the techniques, and discussed about some solved problems. So now in today's class, we'll start with the connections, that is bolting and welding. So how these connections are made, how steel structures connections are made. Without connection, you cannot design steel structures. So it's a very important aspect for design of steel structures. This is the basic requirement. So here actually three kinds of connections are there. Uh, Bolted connections, rivet connections, and welding connections. Riveting is now obsolete. That is not in being used in current practical time, current present time. Okay, so it's not put into practical use. So it was initially used in bridges in the olden times. In the past 3 or 4 decades it has been used, but over the time rivets have been replaced by bolts which are much stronger and have higher efficiency. Okay, so we might give a brief introduction to what rivets was, but since it's not in our syllabus, we'll go with bolting and welding only. So now connections. So what is the necessity, what is the requirement for connections, why we require connectors? So many a times the built-up sections are provided to meet the heavy requirements of loads and long spans. Now what happens when you design a steel structure? Suppose you are designing an I section, okay, for a beam or a column. So when you design the section, if the loads are very heavy, that section may not be sufficient. Okay, you would require some built-up section. That is on I section, you might require some more plates, some additional plates. Okay, some additional another I section you might require. So depending on the load that you will design. So if more sections are required, or if it is a built-up section, that is I section with 1 or 2 cover plates on its flanges, then it is required to connect those sections. So in that case, your connectors or fasteners, they are called connectors or fasteners, are used for heavy loads and longer spans. Okay, for longer span also. Longer span will give more deflection. So in order to control deflection, your connections has to be good. So such section also need to be connected together to act as unison, as one unit. So the main intention is to make all the elements to act as one unit. Okay, so that the load is also safely transferred from one element to the other element. So such is the requirement for connection. Now second reason, maybe the length of the member that you have designed may be more than the length of the section available, and this will necessitate the connection of two lengths to make up the required length. Sometimes your design length for a beam is coming up to be say 12 meter, but you have the section length available at 8 meter. So what do? You take the same section and add another 4 meter. Now this 8 meter and 4 meter needs to be connected. So this is where, when the length is inadequate, this is where another need will arise for providing the connectors. Now third point is the forces exerted by one element on another are transferred through these fasteners or connectors, which should be adequate to transmit the forces safely. Now, when the load is coming, okay, when the member is acting, whether it is carrying tensile load, compressive load, shear, bending, whatever may be the load, whatever may be the forces, these forces needs to be safely carried from one member to another member through these fasteners. So these fasteners or connectors should be strong enough to carry that load. Okay. Along in the member, the strength of the member and strength of the connection should be equally good to carry the required force. Otherwise, if it is not sufficient, the structure will fail. So this point has to be kept in mind while designing the connections. Now, we'll start with the bolted sections. See, bolted connections and riveted connections are more or less similar, except for the fact this bolt is much heavier and much bigger in size, and erections mostly used in construction erection sites. It is used in erection sites for construction industry also, for erecting any steel structural member or building or anything like that. Okay, so for heavy loads, the rivets sometimes fail, so we use bolted connections. So if you understand bolted connections, it is quite similar to rivet connections only. Even the same concept is being applied mostly, except in few cases. So let us understand the concept of bolted connection. So what is a bolt? A bolt may be defined as a metal pin, okay, with a head at one end and a shank threaded at the other end to receive the nut. So if you see this figure, so this is a bolt, okay. So this is a bolt. This is the head of the bolt, okay. This is the head of the bolt, and this body is called the shank of the bolt. So towards this shank, this is threading is done, okay. Why threading is done? So that a hole is being made in the structure to insert the bolt. Without making the hole, you cannot insert the bolt. So hole has to be made in the structure in which the bolt will be inserted, and then at the end of the structure it will be clamped by the nut. So this is head, shank, nut, and this entire thing is bolt assembly. Now this from here, from this length to this length till the end of the head of the nut to the this portion is the grip bolt length, okay, and this is the grip length. These are some technical terms that is used in bolting, and this is the grip of the bolt. So this much structure you are connecting, this much length of the structure you are connecting. Now these small thick small thin plates kind of structure, this assembly is called steel washers. It has a certain specific purpose for using the washers. Why use the washers? They are usually provided under the bolt as well as under the nut to serve two purposes. First purpose is to distribute the clamping pressure on the bolt member and to prevent the threaded portion of the bolt from bearing or the connecting pieces. Okay. Now when you tighten this nut, how the nut is being tightened by wrenches. If you rotate this nut, this will be tightened. So remember one thing, this assembly, this thing has to be for a strong grip. This nut, you cannot make the nut loose. You have to tighten it up to a required extent. Okay. So when you tighten it, this is being clamped, this portion is clamped. So there will be a clamping pressure. If you do not provide the steel washers, this clamping pressure will not be uniform and it will cause bending of this. Here, tremendous pressure will be there. Okay, these two portions. So it will cause bending of this grip length. Okay, so what it does, it uniformly distributes the clamping pressure. Secondly, it prevents the threaded portion from bearing. So bearing load will not come on this thing. Okay. So this is ordinary hexagonal bolt. So if you see, this is the top view. Okay. This is the side view. All right. So now bolts can be used for making end connections in tension and compression members. So whenever two tension members are connected end to end or compression members are connected end to end, you can use bolts. They can also be used to hold down column bases in position. Column bases, that this is one chapter that you will study in the subsequent classes, in the subsequent units, we'll study about column bases. So column bases, they are being provided to distribute huge pressure from column to the foundation bolts. So in column bases, these bolts are used. Okay. Now, in order to assure proper functioning of the connection, the parts to be connected must be tightly clamped between the bolt head and the nut. So as described here, this clamped, this part, these bolts, this nut should be tightly clamped. You cannot lose it. You keep it loose. Otherwise, this will slip and this nut will fall down and the load, it will break. The structure will fail. So in order to keep the structure in position, in order to sustain the heavy load, this nut has to be clamped very tightly. Not extremely tightly, but up to a certain extent, it has to be tightened. But again, if you tighten it to a larger extent, very large extent, then what happens? This structure will fail in vibration. If vibrating load is there, if this structure is undergoing any kind of vibrations, so then it would not be able to receive the vibration shock, and it might cause cracks in the structure. So it should not be extremely tight and it should not be loose also. To a certain extent, it should be tight. Okay. So this is the basic principle of using bolt. Now, in order to assure proper function, this has been done tightly clamped. The holes made for placing the bolts in the joints may be either drilled or punched. Now this hole, as I told you, you have to drill, you have to make holes in the structure. Otherwise, you cannot insert the bolt. Now this hole, how the hole is made, whether either it is drilled, it is done by drilling, machine is used by drilling of certain diameter, you make the hole, or by punching. So how you punch paper, when you punch the paper by a puncher, a certain hole is made. In a similar wise, for steel structures also you can punch. So both fabricators sometimes prefer punched hole because punching is simple and time saving and cost effective. But then ductility and toughness is reduced, causing brittle failure. Okay, and structurally drilled holes are better and should be recommended as far as possible. So generally, in all the steel structures that we design, we'll go for drilled holes only. Rarely it is being punched. So now, see, the bolts are also divided into various categories. The first category being on the basis of certain criteria. So first criteria is on the basis of the resultant force transferred. Okay. Now the bolted connections are referred as concentric connections and eccentric connections. What is concentric connection? When the uh, load passes through the CG of the connection, then it is a concentric connection. That is axially loaded tension and compression members are called concentric connections. So on the basis of the transfer of load, how the load transfer mechanism is done, that is divided into concentric and eccentric. For eccentric connections or bracket connections, moment resisting connections, when the load is away from the CG, when the load is not coinciding with the CG, load is at a particular distance perpendicular from the CG, then it has a certain eccentricity. In that case, you design eccentric connections. So based on the type of load, concentric or eccentric, the connections are bolts are designed. Criteria is on the basis of type of force. So the connections are classified as shear connections when the load transfer is through shear, like in lap joint and butt joint, tension connections. Lap joint and butt joint, it is connected by transferred by shear. Okay, so we'll understand the kind of joints that are used in bolting, riveting, and welding. We'll so in whenever it is a lap joint or a butt joint, the load is transferred through shear. So based on that, your connections will be designed. Sometimes they are tension connections when the load is transferred by tension on bolts. Okay, like in hanger connections, and combined tension and shear connections. Okay. Now third is on the basis of force mechanism. The connections are referred to as bearing type. So bearing type means bolts bear against the holes to transfer the force. Slip type connections and friction type connections. Okay, when the force is transferred by friction between the plates due to tensioning bolts. So these are the three criteria on which type of force, on the type of uh, resultant force transferred, on the type of force that's reacting, on the type of force that is transferred, and the type of force mechanism. There are some classification of the bolts that we use. Now, what are the types of bolts? So basically, there are three types of bolts that we used. The most common that we use is unfinished bolts. Okay. Now, unfinished bolts are called ordinary, common, or rough bolts. Okay, they are used for light structures, to static loads, and for secondary members such as purlin, bracing, and roof trusses. So these are not recommended for heavy load structure, only for light structures like where it carries static loads. There is no dynamic load, there is no vibration occurring. Okay, in that case only we use unfinished bolts. So they are not recommended for connections Now here it is, see in this figure, it is a square head. Okay. Sometimes you might have a hexagon. The head is hexagonal. So either it is square or it is hexagonal. The head of the bolt will be in that shape only if you see the top view. available bolts are threaded. You know, the shank, the lower portion of the shank, as I explained earlier, this portion is threading. Threading is done. This portion is threaded. So when it is threaded, the ratio of the net tensile area and the thread flange area of the bolt always 0.78. If you can find out this area and net area after the threading, this ratio will be this area ratio and this entire area ratio will be 0.78 always. Okay. As per ISO. Now bolts may be oversized and cross-slotted. There is a table in IS 800. It is 4.6. So even in the design problems also that we will be solving, the class of bolt commonly used will be 4.6 class of bolt. Now it has an ultimate this 4.6 are given in this table that I will explain in this table. These are all properties of this class. All this class of grade of class and grade of bolts is given. Now, for ordinary bolted joints, the force is transferred through interlocking and bearing of bolts. Bearing type joint. Okay. Now, if you see this table, this is given in IS 1367 part 3. Okay, specification of fasteners, threaded steel for technical supply condition. Now, this is C as per the grade or the class of bolt 3.6, 4.6, 4.8, 5.6, 5.8, 6.8, 8.8. So 8.8 also two categories available, less than 16 mm dia and more than 16 mm, 9.8, 10.9, 12.9. So these are the various grades of bolt that we use. The most commonly grade is used is 4.6. Here yield stress is given, ultimate tensile strength is given, and elongation percentage. So 4.6, you remember these values. Generally, this grade of bolt will always be used. So it is yield stress is 240, ultimate tensile strength is 400. Okay, percentage elevation is 22. So likewise, you will see the all the values given for different grades of bolt. Now another thing is high strength bolt. Now these high strength bolts, these are made from carbon heat treated steel and from alloy steel. Okay, so the material medium carbon. Okay, in the other another this thing, ordinary bolts low carbon content, there was low carbon content. Here it is medium carbon content. That means carbon content is increasing in this kind of steel for high strength bolts. So these are made from treated steel or alloy steel. Okay, now these bolts may be till they have very high, they may be tightened until they have very high tensile stress, two or more times of ordinary bolts, so that the connected parts are clamped tightly together between the bolts and the nut heads. So this permits the loads to be transferred primarily by friction and not by shear. So this is the major thing. In ordinary bolts, the the loads are primarily transferred by either shear or tension, compression, okay, or bearing. Here, the majority of the loads will be transferred by friction. This is the major difference between the ordinary bolts and high strength bolt. Okay? So the surface, there should be proper contact between the surfaces where load transfer has to occur. Bolted joint. So there is no slip. In case of earlier bolt, this bolt, there was slip was there here, because load transfer was not through friction. Load transfer was through shear or maybe bearing. Okay, this thing. But here, entire load is transferred. Mostly 90% of the load, or more than 90% of the load, is transferred by friction. And friction will only occur if there is proper interface connection between the two members. So there is no question of slipping here. Slip of the bolt will not occur. Hence, this is always preferred. This is the main criteria here. So see here. This is your head of the bolt, and this is the nut. This is the shank. Okay. So these are the washers here. These are types of high strength. So how the load transfer will occur? So this is one member you are connecting, and this is another member you are connecting. Okay. On this, you are putting one plate here and one plate here. Okay. Now you are making a hole, and you are putting two bolts here. Okay. So now these two bolts will connect these two plates. Okay. Now what will happen? See, you are applying a pulling force, a tension force T and T on these two plates. Okay. So as and when this force T is there, the strength of the plate will absorb a force T equivalent to this tension force. Whenever you are applying the force T on this plate, this plate is experiencing a force T. This plate is also experiencing a force T. Now this bolt will absorb a strength of approximately equal to 10 T load. So it will carry the load. This load from this tensile load T is transferred from this plate to this bolt here vertically. So this bolt is also experiencing a load of T. Okay, the shank of the bolt here also both the same. Now again this is T, and if these two plates are connected and there is interplay of friction between these two plates, interconnecting, the surfaces are interconnected, and since this is, you are pulling it here, you are pulling it here, so obviously the friction force will act here and here. Okay, now this friction will be mu into F. What is mu? Mu is the coefficient of friction. This you know from mechanics properties. So mu into F. So mu into F will be the friction load that is transferred to these plates. Okay, these two plates. And from these two plates, again, since you are providing steel washers, the clamping pressure is also registered here. So this is how the load transfer takes place in a high strength friction grip bolts. Now care must be taken that the bolts are tightened up to the required tension. Otherwise, slip may occur at service loads and joint will act as ordinary bolts. So this is important. So this load should not be less than the tensile strength of the plates. Okay, so that care has to be taken here. So when you are applying strength for pull equal to the tensile strength, only then full friction gripping will be there. There will be no slip condition, and the transfer of friction load, these plates will act as unison and transfer the load from the plate to this bolt to this connecting plates. Okay, this is how the mechanism will work. So this is how the high strength bolt. The advantages. What are the advantages of high strength? Called as HSG bolts. One full form being shear and bearing. Now, since you are using HSFG bolts, the body of these bolts will not be subjected to any shear or bearing, because the entire tensile force will be taken up by this clamping force only. Okay, so there will be no shear or bearing of the bolts itself. So this way, it is minimized. Now, the yeah, at next section, this will understand when understand when tension in holes. Okay, this is very important. Whenever you make holes, so your stresses will be more near the hole section and less near the solid section. Okay, so whenever hole is made, stress concentration is there. But when you are transferring loads through friction, stress concentration is very much reduced, reducing the risk of failure of plates through tension. The advantages of using HSFG bolts. Nowadays, all the bolts have unfinished bolts or unturned bolts have been replaced by HSFG bolts for heavy loads. Okay, in industrial buildings and steel structures. So the next class, studying about the type of bolts, type of joints, type of bolted joints that are used, load transfer mechanism, and specification of bolted joints. All these things we'll study, and then we'll solve some problems. That is for today. We'll discuss remaining things in the next class.